That is the sound of strategy. I experienced a lot of technical difficulties in my last playthrough. I got frustrated, and it got to me. I put a lot of energy into these videos, and I'm quite the perfectionist. So I retreated to some inspirational films and came across one of the most overrated epics of all time, which was Alexander. As a historian myself, I was immensely disappointed seeing them charge with their pikes without swishing their sarissas in the air to block the bows. I mean, this was one of the most powerful parts about the pikes. Oliver Stone completely missed that mark. So it got me thinking, why don't we set our own precedents? We're going to play on hardcore mode, which very few Total War players even know about. I made a few videos for them in Rome, and we're going to see how this goes. So let's get started. Macedon was an ancient kingdom on the periphery of classical Greece, and later the dominant state of Hellenistic Greece. It was ruled during most of its existence initially by the founding dynasty of the Aegids, the intermediate Antipatrids, and finally the Antigonids. Prior to the 4th century BC, Macedonia was a small kingdom outside the area, dominated by a great city-state of Athens, Sparta, and Thebes, and at one time was briefly subordinate to the Achaemenid Persia. Briefly, I want to emphasize that was briefly. The reign of Philip II saw the rise of Macedonia when the kingdom rose to control the entire Greek world. With the innovative Macedonian army, Philip defeated the old powers of Athens and Thebes in the decisive Battle of in 338 BC and subdued them. While keeping Sparta in check, his son Alexander the Great pursued the father's effort to command the whole of Greece through the Federation of Greek States, a feat he finally accomplished after destroying the revolting Thebes. Idiots. Alexander then set his force into a large campaign against the Achaemenid Empire in retaliation for the invasion of Greece in the 5th century BC. In the ensuing wars of Alexander the Great, Alexander overthrew the Achaemenid Empire, conquering a territory that came to stretch as far as the Indus River for a brief period. His Macedonian Empire was the most powerful in the world, the definitive Hellenistic state, inaugurating the transition to this new period of ancient Greek civilization. Greek arts and literature flourished. In the new conquered lands, and advancement in philosophy and science were spread across the ancient world. Of particular importance were the contributions of Aristotle, a teacher to Alexander, whose teachings carried on many centuries past his death. Following the death of Alexander the Great in 323 BC, the ensuing wars of the Diadochi and the partitioning of his short-lived empire, Macedonia proper carried on as Greek cultural and political center of the Mediterranean region, along the Ptolemaic Egypt, the Seleucid Empire, and the Kingdom of Pergamon. Important cities like Pella, Padina, and Amphipolis were involved in power struggles for control of the territory, and new cities were founded like Thessalonica by the usurper Cassander, which is now the second largest city of modern-day Greece. Macedonia's decline began with the rise of Rome, until the ultimate subjugation of 168 BC following the Macedonian Wars. What is that? That's speculation. That's complete, utter ridiculousness. We are on DEI, and we are on DEI realism. So, we're going to keep it on normal because we already have an added difficulty. The whole point of the hardcore realism mod is that it significantly increases the difficulty. So we're going to do it on hard. Let's try that. What would happen if we did legendary? I can't do that because of manual save, so it would ruin the stream. We'll do it on hard. Why not? See you on the field. Alright, alright, alright. The barbarians are coming. That's great. We don't need to read that. Let's get it going. So, this is Pella. Oh, nice. They updated this too. It's a little medieval. But, overall, makes it somewhat more interesting for me. Respect.
At your command.
Okay. Okay. So we did add a general, AAA general mod so that the older they get, the more interesting they look. So we'll be able to identify them a little sooner. Looks like the units are still the same. It's been a while since I've done this. So let's talk strategy here. First and foremost, we need to secure our diplomatic route. So we really have two ways. Attack Larissa. Defend against the southern Greek states as best we can. Or start taking all the barbarian nations. Really, that comes down to if whether or not these guys are going to remain friendly. They need to go to war with me, that's a problem. Then I'm going to have to end up knocking them out. Which is going to give these guys significantly more time to prepare. I'm going to befriend you, most likely. In order to befriend Rome, I'm thinking my strategy will be to also somehow declare war against you without necessarily invading. That's going to be a situation. It's going to be a situational decision. So, first things first, we're going to start coming down to Larissa. That is probably the best choice since we can get there in roughly turn 2, get some early diplomatic bonuses, so on and so forth. Now, in terms of diplomatic bonuses, I'm going to bring a trade ship all the way around here. That's the best way to do it. Keep it going all the way back down and around to the Black Sea and get as many trade agreements as I can. Or maybe what's preferable is getting them up through here. That's entirely possible. That way we can unlock this whole region here for trade. And then potentially all the way up here, start unlocking this whole region. And then finally this whole region. But the beauty of trade agreements in this game is that it also gives you diplomatic bonuses. So you want to be somewhat close. So that might keep me from going to war with the Parthian Empire too early or any subsequent smaller states. So let's do diplomacy first and see what we got here. You are going to be knocked out here in a second. So let's start with you. Adrian.
Greetings to you. I trust you come with honorable words that I can hear kindly.
Non-aggro. Can you give me any money? Yes. So you want to find the limits? The limits of their graciousness and then take down a notch.
A token, perhaps a modest gift of coin. Oh.
Usually that works. I guess not.
Greetings to you. I trust you come with honorable words that I can hear kindly.
Moderate. I like how it's different every time I play. I appreciate that. That's low, so we're gonna do the other strategy.
The gods will.
Bithynia, we're also
be welcome
going
here
to...
and speak as you wish, without fear of consequence or danger.
Low, really? Okay. Moderate. Oh,
will you agree to trade? We have much your people might enjoy, and your goods would enrich. There is good in trade.
Take the deal.
To walk through a market is to understand a people. After consideration worthy of your counteroffer.
I need money.
No. My respects, but you have gold is usually offered in payment of service.
So we're not
My
getting a
people
lot
will
of
find
cash flow
much
this
joy
game.
in this.
That's okay. Pergamon.
For the sake of friendship that has been and friendship.
Sparta.
Welcome.
Aggro.
The day is already.
What about you, Athens? Can we not aggro?
I will listen.
You
I
open to
cannot
it?
say
No?
for how
Let it
long.
Trade? No. Lydia, any trade?
I will listen
Nothing.
carefully to your words.
Tough crowd.
Greetings. Do
Tough
not
crowd
waste
today.
time on ill-chosen words.
Speak quickly and well.
Yeah.
Speak ill or
Yes,
slowly.
looks like this is gonna be it.
My time is better spent feasting and... You pitiful wretch!
Okay. Oh, Egypt. Can we get you on board?
Speak if you must,
Low.
but do not expect much from me today.
Okay, the absolute best way to start. We're gonna bring you all the way over here. We're gonna get a new general, Venice. Horsemen.
Ready for orders.
To get over there as fast as possible.
At ease, men.
We are definitely going to see how much food do we have. 5 food. It's 12 turns. That's 8 turns. So that would mean. So we have 9 grand left.
We hunger for
That
battle.
bad. What do I want to put here?
Soldiering.
You.
It's a good life.
It's not that much.
At your command. Are you ready to serve?
We can only get 2 guys anyhow, so. And I'll get 11,000 next turn.
Ready for
So.
battle.
What should we get here?
We need
Probably one
good
of you.
fighters.
One of you. That makes sense. Okay. 2 horsemen. And our technology, what are we gonna do? -5 upkeep. That's definitely what we're gonna do. +1 growth. I usually go growth first. It's
We
kind of
hunger
important
for battle.
to rush growth. Let's bring our spy up this way, or straight to Rome. Would be a smarter choice here. We're gonna go straight to Rome. Hopefully that unlocked the ability to talk. Nope, not quite. Okay. All good. Oh, are we married? Are we spitting out some kids? Not quite yet. Okay, our dynasty is about to begin.
Ready for orders.
Let's end the turn. Overall, good first turn. Using our money wisely. Next turn, we're gonna get some mercenaries and start pushing the envelope here. I might even get a 3rd general.
War!
Oh.
Our gods demand it.
That's
Our
not good.
ancestors love it. You,
So now we are definitely getting a 3rd general. I don't know when that army is incoming, but now we're fighting a 2-front war. Which isn't really all that great. I mean, we do have high walls. How much does it cost to raise a force? Another $0 situation. We're gonna need you to have horsemen.
To your duties. We hunger for
So we
battle.
have 12,000 and no place to put them.
Ready for orders.
Can you get there? Not really.
Ready for battle.
Yep, declare war, knock them out. Let's go.
None. We cannot pass here. Laying siege to the settlement. Ready for battle. Yeah!
Start getting you some basic units, such as javelin. Man, we run out of money quick. Levy hoplite, javelin. And we'll use that to defend, or better yet,
We hunger for battle.
better yet, maybe I'll just
To
get one
victory!
more hired lancers. That would probably knock them out pretty quick. But they are expensive on the upkeep. It's 1,000. I guess in relativity, that's not all that bad.
We hunger for battle. To
Yeah,
battle!
could always abandon them next turn.
Let them cower like kenneled dogs.
Okay, first battle. What's going to be our strategy? Looks pretty simple. Don't mind the white UI. It's just a small price to pay for the hardcore mod, which is just so good. DEI hardcore is the only way to play this game, in my opinion. Alright. This looks super simple. I mean, just, yeah, this is gonna be a cinch. Let's assault. We'll see you on the field.
This is the kind of battle that I like. Enemies ready to be trussed and stuffed like plump geese. Listen carefully to orders, lads, and we will feast well today. Good hunting.
Good hunting, then. Our great king sends out his royal army to meet his enemies for the first time. Let's check out the battlefield. It's an interesting one, filled with lots of different hills and strategic points. It's going to be curious to see how this is utilized. I'm going to assume Macedon's going to line up onto this hill crest. This is what we'll call this, hill crest. And we're going to call this opposite hill here, hilltop. This is probably where the enemy is going to set their ranged units. And then this little Blood Gulch area, valley thing here, we'll call this the Gulch. And since it seems the majority of the defensive fortifications are here on the Macedonian right, I'm going to assume veering out here into this valley area all around the left flank is where the majority of the cavalry action is going to happen. So we're going to call this the valley. Our general has sent a scouting party up ahead to assess the situation to see if he can probably take the hill sooner than his enemy. I'm not sure this is going to be possible. Yep, and just like that, they appear out of nowhere and starting to throw fire onto these poor, unsuspecting units. They had no idea this was coming. They are in total rout down towards the valley to get themselves out of firing range. Now the general knows this is where he has to set up his slow phalanx army. Slow, but highly effective. You can see just the intimidating stature of these men as they ready themselves for battle. 3 units was all he needed to bring of phalanx. With some mixed unit tactics, he's setting himself up a firing line right here on the hill crest, undoubtedly using the visibility changes to his advantage to lure the enemy down to the gulch. This will be the entire strategy. Whoever lures the opposite side into the gulch most likely will have a significant advantage. It seems like he's learned from that firing line, and in total support of his skirmisher cav, he has sent some hired lancers, which are taking casualties on these spike traps, unfortunately, to veer around the left flank in order to get some cavalry charges in. It is going to be a lot of cavalry versus a lot of cavalry. So the use of these spear infantry, these javelin men, are going to be absolutely critical in terms of endearing the type of success that he needs. Drawing the enemy out of their forced defensive position, the Macedonian army awaits on the hill crest. Oh, interesting. Pulling them back, undoubtedly, to extend their range further out into the open and further into the gulch. Pretty smart tactic. Some fires starting to be thrown. Looks like we have some basic slingers here from the Aetoan League. Eating up their own defenses. I like to see that. In order to get into firing range of these units. Although they are shielded, this will not be a very good position for them. We're going to have to keep drawing these units out into the open, and it appears that they have succeeded. A cavalry charge is imminent. They are moving their men back. Although these units here are entirely weakened against the cavalry charge, they are preparing to throw their javelins. Nope, looks like they're pushing back and wheeling around the king in order to basically scare off these skirmisher units from attempting any kind of ridiculous charge. And they were smart to turn around. They just missed a hail of javelin fire, and now the king is pushing these enemies into the valley away from any sort of advanced position so that they can reassess their firing line on the front line. These phalanx units are still in a tightly packed formation, ready to expel any sort of firing advantages from the enemy. The king himself is eating a lot of these javelins, which is kind of ill-advised considering how important these units are. But it seems that he's just trying to get himself into the right position. What is this? It's like a terrible charge by the Macedonian Lancers, now in hand-to-hand combat with the citizen cav. This is not going to be good for the Lancers. They did not get their charge bonus. However, these skirmisher cavs are going to wheel around and try to get some pot shots on the back ends of this unsuspecting citizen cav. But they are heavily armored and are prepared for this type of battle. I'm not sure if this is going to sway this particular hand-to-hand battle into the favor of the Macedonians. Let's go back to our main line. Units are starting to close. They were drawn into the gulch, and now the Macedonians have the advantage. They are attempting to be flanked upon, so they are moving into a V formation here. It looks like the citizens here are trying their best to get around, but the Macedonian general brought back some peltasts to just really plug from any sort of envelopment to have them. Remember, these peltasts are very good at melee combat, and they are not to be, underestimated. Seeing an opening, looks like the king has assaulted the rear line, trying to take out as much of the ranged units as possible to cease the fire upon these phalanx units, which is really their only weakness at this point. They can hold as many of these men as they can. They are the finest fighting force in Macedon and can withstand wave upon wave of melee infantry as long as the formation holds. That is, pikemen are in the center, holding the best they can, as these disgruntled and looks like rather confused line of enemy phalanx try to close in, but they are not in very good formation. The general is not doing a good job organizing them. Speaking of general, we're going right back to our great king, who's just decimating these lightly armored ranged units, which were really a pest before and are now just a gift for the Macedonian king. Back towards the citizen cav fight, it appears that it is really heading into the favor of the Aetolian Empire. I'm not seeing a lot of success here. I have a lot of concern for these units. It seems that the Secret Lancers have switched to the alternative weapons, fighting with their short swords here, doing their best to withstand the hand-to-hand combat, but they are just not as nearly as armored as these Aetolian citizen cav are. It's going to be interesting to see how those pull through, if at all. Oh no, our king looks like he's heading straight for some defensive traps. He's got to be careful about these caltrops. This will absolutely crush his cavalry units. And just before that was quite close. That was quite close. Looks like he's setting up organized rear charge here, but this captain with his awareness, yeah, looks like he's about to turn. I saw him slowing down. He's doing a good job, and now our great king is wheeling back towards the Macedonian left to support. Taking a few shots, he's now noticing, looks like a wide open archer unit. This is going to be hilarious, just seeing how our king absolutely decimates this. Let's take a look as we zoom in here on a devastating charge towards the enemy. Here we go. Our Secret Lancers just chewing down the ranged infantry of our enemy. Absolutely crushed. That is the bread and butter of a Sarissa Sacred Lancer. Looks like our agrarian peltasts are doing the best to expel the units and really goat these units into charging them as much as possible. And an ingenious maneuver, it looks like just that pullback caused this unit to feel the need to engage out of just a sense of vulnerability, I suppose, to support their units. And now these 3 Macedonian units are holding what looks like 6 or 7 separate units, freeing up these peltasts to just absolutely crush the non-shielded side of these phalanx units. Look at that. Taking away their advantage is so key. Now that they don't have a shield, they won't stand a chance against these range units. They're already halfway dead. It's only a matter of time. Perfect commanding there by the Macedonian army. Looks like some Macedonian... No, this is Aetolian League skirmisher cav, which has survived the previous cavalry engagement, is now doing its best to assault these agrarian peltasts, and it's going to be a devastating hit for these agrarian peltasts, but it leaves them wide open for a countercharge here by our great king, de-horsing as many of these men as possible in a short time frame. The peltasts are now ready for hand-to-hand combat, and they are falling in to get ready for some rear charges. Although these melee units look spread thin, they are doing their job, holding these units here as much as they can. The pikemen have lost their pikes and are now down to their alternative weapons, so it's a matter of time before they start to break. Knowing this, the king descends upon his enemies in a devastating charge, knocking back hundreds of confused phalanx soldiers unable to turn around to face the enemy. They're being hacked down to shreds and beginning to rout. It looks like the Macedonians are doing an amazing job, sending them into a full run. That's it. Their melee units have had their backs broken. The only threat at the moment is a ranged threat, shooting down as many of the king units as possible while in full retreat in order to cease this from happening. Some fast-moving Macedonian peltasts are descending from the hill crest through the Blood Gulch Valley to push back as many of these ranged units as possible in order to minimize the amount of shots taken before the cleanup really ensues. Look at that. They're almost all completely done. The field is littered with dead bodies. The Macedonians celebrate as they finish their hacking and their slashing of their enemies. Look at that. Absolute Macedonian beauty. Perfect commanding by the Macedonians as they just pierce through the enemies as such. The rest is just cleanup. The Macedonians have done it again. All glory to Pella, to our great king. A great tactical start towards our marvelous Macedonian hardcore realism grand campaign. Look at it. In their glory. All hail Macedon. I will see you on the field. There we go. There we go. We are gonna occupy. Why? Because population is so incredibly important in this game. Especially with this culture, where a lot of the harder to reach population types make up this army. So, you know, Shazla probably did that too early. All good. Oh good, we got you back. We got you back. Because of the victory. You know, and still lost a lot of guys, right? But, so yeah, the population here can be really, really tough. Really, really tough. I'm trying to show where that population goes.
Ready for orders.
Yeah, why does it keep doing that? The politudes is exactly what can be difficult here. Right, so you want to make sure that your population remains the same, which is why you do not subjugate early on. You need those additional units. It's definitely an important part of this. Alright guys, thank you so much. That's episode 1, just a little quick breakdown. And what we're going to do in episode 2, we are going to assess the situation here and see if we can hold against the Greek states. If not, we are immediately going to employ an invasion and try to knock out Athens. You can see just how weak they are. We're also going to launch a ship. Send our ship out for a trade mission before we have to make any sort of diplomatic declaration of war against Athens. Alright? That is going to be the next episode. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time.